Greetings, it's Adam at Irata non grata, and we have some more Atari news to discuss. As some of you may or may not be aware, here in 2 days from when I'm recording this, on June 27th, it will actually be Atari's 52nd birthday. They already had their 50th a little while ago, and of course, there was the 50th anniversary collection that came out to celebrate that. Um, as a quick side note, I think that should be designated National Video Arcades Day because, well, Atari was responsible for essentially inventing that industry. Um, Obviously, they weren't the very first ones to invent video games, and they did not design the very, very first coin operated video game, but they invented the first commercially successful one. But semantics aside, it's a great day to celebrate that as well as Atari. But as a part of the celebrations to that, Atari announced this morning the Atari 50th Anniversary Celebration Expanded Steelbook Edition, as you've seen on the screen here. This is what I've got up on Twitter. So, showing the Nintendo Switch jacket, the expanded steelbook jacket, which looks really nice. Comes with some retro Atari art cards, and we see Berserk, Maze Craze, and Atari Video Cube there, some miniature Atari arcade marquee signs, which is really nice, and then the Al Alcorn replica business card. If you don't know who Al Alcorn is, he was a very, very crucial employee at Atari. He was, I think, the first engineer that was hired by Ted Dabney and Nolan Bushnell, and he's the one that designed Pong and Space Race and Gotcha and a few other their initial things. He did crucial work on all sorts of things at Atari all the way up to 1984. But for some information on this, as Atari was answering some questions on X, as the original tweet said, Atari 50th is expanding, coming later this year to an Atari 50 near you. 39 playable games and 2 new timelines, which include the wider world of Atari and the first console war. You'll also be able to add an all-new expanded physical edition to your home library. I already have the physical edition, but this is tempting with those artwork. I mean, I hate rebuying a lot of stuff over and over again, but sometimes you end up doing so. Now, this will not be available on Atari's birthday, unfortunately. It's coming on October 25th, so we have to wait a little bit. Now, of course, you might be wondering what games are going to be coming to this on October 25th, and that hasn't been revealed yet. But it will be probably by that date, I imagine. I remember when when the 50th collection was first announced, that information got out there soon afterwards. But we can get some hints just from this screenshot here and some other things that Atari has recently added, in addition to what it mentions at the top there, where it says including rescued and unreleased prototypes and rare gems, an expanded retrospective on gaming history with 13 new segments of exclusive interviews that explore the history of iconic brands such as Mattel's Intellivision and Stern Electronics. And so that definitely means that, or as you could gather here already, Berserk is going to be one of those games. Although what I wonder about is, will they include Berserk Arcade and the 2600 version and the 5200 version? I mean, that would be nice, especially given that the 50th anniversary collection, as far as the selection of 5200 games go, is kind of lousy. And that version also had voice, which was cool, but it would be nice to also have the arcade version in there, which hasn't been included on a compilation like this in a while, as far as I know. I would also assume the Atari Video Cube will be one of those games on there. It'd be nice if Digital Eclipse was able to finish another game up, as they did with the 50th Anniversary Collection in Sword Quest Air World, which didn't even have any code written for it as far as I'm aware, and Digital Eclipse went and did that all themselves and basically created what the game was supposed to be, but on the Atari 2600, and it was only available as a part of that collection. It'd be interesting to see if there's anything else that they might do that with. As if you go to AtariProtos.com, there's quite a few games on there that you can read about where it's like, oh, it's really too bad that this never got finished, such as Black Belt for the Atari 5200, which would have been a beat 'em up a few years before that. Like Double Dragon had revolutionized that whole scene, practically inventing the genre, or another for the 5200 that was kind of like supposed to be a Sword Quest game, but it wasn't. It was called Meebzork, and it just seemed to have gotten canceled just due to the fact that the focus testing build, there was a bug that prevented players from playing most of the game, and that apparently most of the game was fun and pretty cool. It was an adventure-like game, but just for whatever stupid reason, they let that bug taint the testing, and then they just gave up on it, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But it might have just been the timing was poor as to the 5200 being at the end of its lifespan. But also, given that, Atari did obtain Stern Electronics IP and Mattel's Intellivision IP, perhaps we will see more arcade games from Stern Electronics. It'd be cool to see all of them that they have on there. Lost Tomb and some other, Frenzy and some others. But also Intellivision games. Does that mean we'll see Intellivision Atari 2600 games? Will we see Intellivision itself games being added on there? I hope so. Overall, 39 games, that's a lot to choose from. Another that comes to mind is Bubsy for the Jaguar, which I talked about and showed on the video the other day. It'd be better to play that on a gamepad than it would be on a keyboard, as I was doing yesterday. But what would you like to see? What do you hope is a part of those 39 games that they're adding? And if you're interested in this, are you looking at getting this steelbook, or do you already have the 50th anniversary collection? It's like, I don't need all this extra stuff as a part of it, because Atari did mention on X that if you already have this, then it'll be DLC that you'll be able to grab, and I think they mentioned that it's free, or at least that is, their tweet said the new content will be available to game owners as downloadable content, which seems to imply that it's free, but don't know for sure. But also these cards, this artwork will not be available separately, so just something to keep in mind. But what do you think about this? Looking forward to it? Gonna jump on it or not? Let me know what you think, and we'll catch you on the next video.